All right, welcome all. For the next 45 minutes, we are going to talk about creating interactive resources in Boardmaker 7. My name is Tina Voisey. I'm the education manager for our team in the UK and Ireland. So really excited for Boardmaker 7, which will be coming out later in the autumn. We are really excited to show you all the new features about Boardmaker 7, which you're going to be able to install on Windows, Mac, and Chromebook. And I'm going to talk about different elements of Boardmaker 7 as we go through this session, particularly those that will allow you to play your interactive resources. So first, let's talk about creating the interactive resources, which you can do through the Boardmaker 7 editor. As Boardmaker 7 subscribers, you have unlimited installations of the Boardmaker 7 editor, so you can put it on as many Windows, Mac, or Chromebooks as you like, and then you use your username and password in order to use it. We also have another option for purchasing Boardmaker 7, and that's as a standard license, which you pay once, and then it allows you to put it onto 2 computers, again, Windows, Mac, and Chromebook. Whichever you go for, standard or subscription, you're going to have the same experience when it comes to using the editor and using the templates, which I will show today, which are all pre-programmed and allow you to personalize the templates for content as well as your media to create accessible interactive resources. You can also make them from scratch, but we are not going to show that in this session, partly because this is a beta program, so our development team are still very actively developing Boardmaker 7, getting it ready for launch. So if there are a few little hiccups along the way, do keep that in mind. And creating interactive resources is part of that process that they're still developing. So we will do webinars in the future to show you how to make interactive from scratch. Today, we will be focusing on the templates. But the templates can allow you to do lots of different things. So here you see a template where we're supporting communication and finding words that we can use alongside a core word, go. What are all the places we can go? We can go to the park, we can go away, we can go home. So we can support communication in lots of different ways with interactive templates. Now here's a very similar type of template. It's a graphic organizer, but now I'm using it for behavior and supporting someone to talk through the different ways that they can get over being upset and seek support, all in an interactive way that's completely accessible. Third, I'm using, again, a very similar templates. These are all graphic organizers, but you can see how we vary the layout to suit your needs. Some learners can only handle a few concepts at a time. Others can handle a lot more. So here you can see a resource that was developed for supporting learning about the different parts of a plant. Maybe we use this as an exercise to start conversation and connect to background knowledge before we learn even more about a plant. And lastly, supporting independence. So today is the start of AAC Awareness Month, AAC being augmented and assisted communication. So I am going to make a few resources around that topic of AAC. Here's one that can support somebody being more independent during an AAC assessment and using it as a point of discussion around all the different things they would like to talk about as they go through their AAC assessment. And I'll also point out that you can see we've got some fantastic symbols to support AAC. If you want to know more about AAC Awareness Month, I will point everyone in the direction of Communication Matters, which is a charity within the UK that supports people who use AAC and professionals who either create the devices or support people who use it. So we'll carry on from there. So what I want to do is go in and show you how I created those resources and so much more in the Boardmaker 7 editor. And then we'll come back and talk about how we access and play those resources. So at any time, please do feel free to chat your questions in. Just find the chat button by wiggling your your mouse or touching the screen of your computer. You'll see a little toolbar pop up and you can find the chat button there. Chat in your questions as you think of them, and I will answer them in due course. All right, so I'm going to just now change my share so you see a different screen. Hold on. And there we'll go into Boardmaker 7. Sorry, just let me. Okay, there we go. Oop, there we go. So now I am in my Boardmaker 7 editor. So what I see immediately are the things that was just creating. These are all resources that I've been working on over the past few days, gives me really quick access to them. My Boardmaker shows me everything that is in my cloud storage. So we sync with cloud storage, the My Boardmaker website element of Boardmaker 7 subscriptions. So as you're able to install Boardmaker 7 on unlimited computers as a subscriber, you don't want to have to remember, where did I save that resource? Or I made that at home and now I want to carry on editing it at work. With cloud storage, it will sync to my Boardmaker, so you can move around really, really easily and not worry about where resources are saved. So I can go here and find a resource that maybe I was working on a few weeks ago in a totally different place, and I can carry on editing it. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to click on New. Rather than editing something I've already created, I'm going to click on New, which gives me my template picker. Now here I'll see that there's a number of different types of templates I can work with. I can start from scratch. I can create something from scratch, both printed or interactive. I can see my most recently used templates. We have a whole session on starting with printable templates and creating print materials, but we're not going to go into that today. Today we're going to focus on interactive. And with interactive, you will see I have quite a few different subcategories. And in all of these, you will find various types of templates, different styles, different sizes, things that act and behave differently. So what I'm going to do now is go into sorting. And I would like to do a nice little sorting activity. I would like to sort 10 items into 2 different groups. So I'm going to click that and then click create. And while I do that, I'm just going to grab my chat and put that on my other window. So if you have questions, please chat them in at any time. Now, what I'd like to do is create something that is a word sort. I'm supporting somebody who's using AAC. We're getting familiar with different parts of words or different types of words, and I want to go through and do some stuff where they're sorting nouns from verbs. So as you can see, I am doing what we call edit in place. I'm just very quickly going into a button and starting to type, and then pressing return to initiate a symbol search. So I'm going in very quickly, putting all the correct answers here under the nouns and all of the correct answers for verbs in this box. So I'll do that and run. And let's do one more, and let's do eat. Now the little red writing around the template here is actually, if I stopped for a moment and read them, is telling me to do exactly what you're seeing me do. Place titles and symbols for each group below, place the items for each group into the boxes. So this red writing will disappear once I go into play mode. It's just for me as an editor to know what I need to do to make this resource personalized for the person I'm creating it for. Now, this person needs a little bit more support. So what I'd really like to do here is go through and create a little bit of a visual prompt for them. So we know through maybe a system that we're using, learning about parts of language, different color coding maybe for types of words. So let's say nouns in the system we're using has yellow assigned to it. So I'm just going to go and add a yellow background here from the right-hand side using my properties panel. And now I'm going to highlight these because verbs are actually a red color. So I'm going to grab those. So that's just giving a little visual prompt or cue for my learner to help them along with this activity. Now what I'd like to do is actually make a second page of this because I want them to sort the nouns and the verbs, but then I'd also like them to sort the verbs from the adjectives. So over here on the left-hand side, I can see my pages panel. And what I'd like to do is take this with the one I've already created, and I'm going to click on these buttons here and click on duplicate because I want to make a duplicate of this page. For those of you who've been using Boardmaker online, we've streamlined this. Before you had to do copy and then paste. We're making it a bit easier here for you now. So now I have 2 pages that are exactly the same. And what I'm going to do here is change my nouns to adjectives. And then I can put adjectives in here. So let's do shiny. And there, that one's a nice one. Shiny and bad. And let's find one other. Shiny, bad, and silly. Okay, so now I want to test this out. Oh, let me change, sorry, my adjectives. Let's do a different background color. I can always go in and edit after. So everything that has to do with how this looks is found right here on the right-hand side in my properties panel. And I can change everything about the way the buttons look and the colors assigned to them, fonts, alignment, all kinds of wonderful things. So now I'm going to press play because I want to test this out and see how it works. So it's going to put me into preview mode. You're going to see it's shuffled everything around, put all of those in to the bottom. So now I can go in and I can put, oh,
that doesn't belong there.
That doesn't belong there. It goes there. And
That's right.
I'm just going to quickly go through all of these.
That's right.
So I want you to see what happens automatically once I go through this page. Because remember, I created 2.
That's
when it goes through all of this, it's going to change
Good
to
job.
allow me to go
You
to
sorted
next.
them all.
So now I can click the next button and I get that second page I created. All right, so I'm seeing a question from Hannah. She's asking, can I change the text afterwards? Yes, absolutely. So if I decide, let me exit out of this to continue editing. Instead of shoe, I wanted it to say trainer. I just click on and type in trainer. Don't press return because that will initiate another symbol search. And this isn't what I mean. This is American English. I'm not showing the UK English, which we will have at launch. But if I just go in and let's put sparrow, don't press return. My symbol's already there. And then I carry on and it'll work perfectly. It's a good question, Hannah. So any other questions? What do you all think about this? Feel free to chat in. All right, I'm going to go in and save this. Let's do word sorting. So I'll save that. And now I'm going to go here to my dashboard because I want to show you a different type of activity. This time I'm going to go again to new for my template picker. I'm going to go to interactive. And this time I'm going to go to sequencing. And what I would like to do is do this 3-item horizontal. And notice how we have lots of different variations, whether it's 3 items, 4 items, vertical or horizontal. We do give lots of variations of our templates to suit learners where they're at. So I'm going to click on create. Now what I would like to do is something to support somebody who's using a high-tech system for the first time, a high-tech AAC device. And we're trying to support some independence with the operational elements of this AAC device. So I'm going to call this powering up my device. And I want to put 3 steps here. And if I read the directions, it says to do them in the correct order. So they use an Indie. So I'm going to type in Indie. That's a high-tech device that Tobii Dynavox does. So I'm going to choose this Indie that's got a black screen because that looks like it's off. And now I'm going to, so they need to, actually I'll change the get your Indie. And now I want them to press the on button. Okay, so we're seeing lots of different symbols here. We have improved our symbol search. So right now it's looking for these words anywhere, and I'm getting quite a few results. I can choose to, let's do press actually. I can choose to slim that down to just 1 word to search, and that's searching anywhere. Again, this is a beta version, so some things are acting a little bit funny with the search. But I have 109 results with press being those letters, P-R-E-S-S, being anywhere in a label. So I'm seeing depressed, I'm seeing express, I'm seeing lots of different things with those letters there. I can choose to search for P-R-E-S-S at the beginning, or as a whole word, or ends with. So I want the whole word press, and actually this one is perfect. And now we'll see that the Indie is Indie Power, or I can say use Indie. Let's do that. Use the Indie, and I'm going to choose this time. This search will be a bit better when we finish up and get to launch. So I shouldn't have to search, change the label as much. And now I've got use the Indie. It's all lit up, ready to go. So again, let me press play. And you can see it shuffled it up. And now I'm going to put what is the right order. First, I'm going to get it.
That's right. Get your Indie as the first item.
Is my sound being shared through? Can you all hear the voice? If somebody can put that into, let me just see if it's here. Are you all getting the sound across? Because it should be reading this out. Share computer sound. Okay, hopefully you're getting the sound coming out of there. It looks like it is. Yes, okay, great.
That's right. Press the on button is the second item.
And we've got automatic speech output.
That's
I see there's
right.
a question
Use
about
the
can
Indie
you
as the third
record your own
item.
voice or
Good
disable
job.
voices?
You put them all in order.
You certainly can record your own
You
voice.
reached the end of this activity.
Certain buttons, you can absolutely show that. Oops, sorry, I just pressed the wrong thing. Sorry. Hi, Kenna. Oh, what am I doing here? I got myself in a, there we go. You certainly can record voice. I'm not able to show that today because in beta version, we're still working on recording, but you can record your own sounds to certain buttons. And I'll show that as we go through where you would find that. That's a good question. And you can choose different voices as well. You may notice I've got a Scottish voice right now. I'll show you later how you can change and use different voices with different accents, different languages as well. All right, any questions? Okay. So I'm now going to go to just something different. I'm going to show you another kind of template. So going to new. And this time, again, interactive. And this time I'm going to go to sequencing. I want to, not sequencing, excuse me. I'm going to go to graphic organizers because this time I want to show you how I created that AAC assessment support that you saw in the example in my PowerPoint. So I'm going to choose one, and I can't remember. I think it was this something that looks like this. Again, they're very similar, just laid out slightly differently. And this time I'm going to go in. I'm going to put my main idea here as AAC assessment. And I'm going to choose the symbol. Notice we've got lots of variations of symbols. You'll see some that have what we call our thin line people in there. So they've got a bit more illustration to them. And you'll see we've got adults and children and men and women. We also have our eggheads. And you'll also notice this one's slightly different. Before, I was just populating what was on that first page. Here, it's telling me that I need to edit the choice bank. So this one works a little bit differently than the others that I was doing earlier. So here's my choice bank. And within that choice bank, I can place text and symbols that somebody might want to talk about during their AAC assessment. And that will pop up when I choose the detail. So I can go in here and I can say, let's talk about access methods. So I'll type access. But what I can also do is rather than sit here and fill in and try to think of all the things that somebody might want to talk about during an AAC assessment, I can go to the symbols panel over here. It's right next to my properties panel. I can click on symbols, and here I'll find a categorization of all the symbols that we have available in Boardmaker 7, which is going to be over 45,000 symbols when we launch it. And for our subscribers, we're going to be adding to this every other week. Now, I know here in the category therapeutic care, there's a subcategory called AAC. So I'm going to click on that, and I can choose between AAC actions or AAC items. So let's talk about some items. And I can go in here and look at all the different symbols we have. Maybe they'll want to talk about a button switch. And what I'm doing is I'm clicking and dragging, and that didn't work the right way. Sorry, let me do that again. Again, this is a beta version, so bear with me as things don't quite work as they should. There you go. Button switch. They might want to talk about, oh, and I never even thought about communication cards. Maybe that's something they'd like to talk about, so I can put that in here. and I can just continue to scroll down and find all the things that somebody might want to talk about by going through this category. I think this is great because I know, like, I've been demonstrating symbol software for 16 years, and I constantly think of the same thing. I always do fruit, and it's always apples, bananas, pears. We're coming through and looking at this category here. It might really inspire me to add things that I wouldn't have thought of and open up discussion for the user. Now, once I get them all in here, I can also make some decisions as to how they present as well. So I could go in and highlight them all. So I'm going to highlight those buttons. And then on a right click, I can do things like I'd like them to be alphabetized. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with Boardmaker 7 on right clicks. I could decide, actually, I don't like any of this. I'm starting over, and I could clear the contents, and it will clear them all out. Now, if I decide, actually, no, that was a stupid thing to do, of course, I've always got my undo button, which will bring it all back. So lots of really lovely things that you can do with Boardmaker 7. Some of these things are things that we had in Boardmaker 6 and disappeared in Boardmaker Online. Some of them, like this categorization, was there in Boardmaker 6, but a lot harder. You had to go untick and tick things to look through categories. We're making it a whole lot more intuitive with Boardmaker 7. So now, oh, I didn't do access. Let me get that access one in there. I'm going to press return, put that in. And now, again, I can press play and see how this is going to work. So now there's my AAC assessment. And when I click, I can choose. All those blanks just disappeared, which is lovely. A lot of our templates work that way. So we can just go in and not have to worry about getting rid of any
Partner-assisted letterboard scanning.
All right. Any questions? I'm just looking over at my
access
chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to chat them in at any time. Now, another thing I can do here is I can save. Some of our templates allow this.
Click on the buttons to review them.
So now when I click on things, it will read it out to me. So maybe this was something I did before the assessment. I worked with someone to talk about, to figure out all the things, organize all the things I want to talk about at the assessment. And then I can have this on my iPad, on my Indy, on any device that I've got the Student Center, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, available. And then I can just go in. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about. And I'm not
click on the buttons to change them.
When I click on things, it's not overwriting it. So really cool stuff. All right. I've got a couple of other, one more template I want to show you. So I'm going to go to the dashboard. Do I wish to save? I won't save this one. And now I'm going to go again for the last time in this session to new and then to interactive. And this time I'm going to go to classroom routines. And I want to show you something, this student sign-in. And one thing you can do with all of our templates, print and interactive, is I can select it from a sample. So what I'd like to see, I'd like to show you, I already know how, but I want to show you how this template works when it's populated. So I'm going to choose the student sign-in and select from sample. So now I'm going to just click try it. And it's going to give this to me populated. And here I see student sign in where a student can click in.
Write your name to sign in.
And they can sign themselves in. So they spell out their name. In this instance, the letters are in order. I just have to click on them and it sends it up.
Y.
I can have it speak the name.
Sally.
Then when I'm sure it's right, I can sign in.
Sally, you're signed in.
And it's telling you, yes, Sally, you're signed in. This is really cool. And what I love about Boardmaker 7 is just with a little bit of imagination, I can do a lot with this. So I'd like to do an activity for one of my AAC users that's very similar to, that uses this, but isn't a student sign-in for a classroom. I want to work on spelling words that, so that they don't have to be dependent on simple support all the time. So I'm going to change this to an activity where I'm asking them to spell specific words. Now, this says don't edit this page, go to the project setup. This is what we call a table-based template. So what I'm gonna do is go in here and I'm gonna go into the activity settings. And this is where I enter the, where I edit the content. Because what I'd like to do is rather than enter your student's name, I'm gonna say, I'd like you to spell some words. So I'm just gonna go in and replace the students that I got in this sample, and I'm going to do it for, let's do some core words. So I want them to type go, I want them to type more. Okay, so working on spelling skills. Let me just do one or two more. Let's do want. Now, I could always have taken this from an empty rather than the sample. Once I know how it works, I don't have to do this the next time, but I wanted to show you how you can create things from sample. Now, in this table, I can also choose different spelling methods. You can see the spelling method here is letters in order. I want to make this harder for my student. I want to scramble the letters. Or maybe I'd like them to use a keyboard rather than, have all the letters available to them. So I can go in and change the spelling method that they have available to them. I can also go in and decide whether I want the correct model to be there. So in this circumstance, I don't want to show the correct model. The word go only has 2 letters. I'm pretty sure they know how they're going to be able to do this. I can also show the correct model after a certain amount of errors. Now, not every template is going to have this level of editing. They will vary. This is just one example that I want to show you how, with a little bit of imagination and thinking outside the box, you can take these samples and use them, these templates, and use them in so many different ways. Now, you heard when I played it, when Sally signed in, it said, yeah, Sally, you're signed in. That's not going to work for this. And let me just save that. And nowhere on this template do I see a place where I can change the way it behaves and what it says. And you'll find that in a lot of our templates as well. So going into the activity settings is where I can get to like the guts of this activity and change things other than those buttons that are right in front of me. So here I want to change the prompt text to spell the core words. And then the confirmation will be you spelled it correctly. So that's what she's going to say. I can, of course, edit this like you've seen me edit things before, what's on the face of it, but I'm not going to do that just because of time right now. I want to show you the end result. So now when I go in and I click on go,
spell the core words.
So now it's asking me to spell the core word. I'm not getting a prompt like I did with the Sally example because I changed that. The letters are scrambled.
O.
Now what happens if I
J.
do it incorrectly? Nope. So let's clear that. Let's do it.
J. O.
And let's sign in.
Go. You spelled it correctly.
There we go. And then I can go on to the next
More.
one.
Spell the core
Now I've
words.
got the full keyboard because that's what I chose. So I love this template. There's so many different templates throughout that if you just have a little bit of imagination, think a little bit outside the box, you literally could do almost anything with them. And you're getting a huge bank of templates. There's over 150 templates within Boardmaker 7. So lots and lots of room to do really anything you like. The sky's the limit. All right, any questions, comments? I'm just going to close out of this. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint because I want to talk about a few other things. Just going to go back to my PowerPoint here. Feel free to chime in with your questions. There we go. Okay. So we've taken a look at the Boardmaker editor, how you create your interactive resources. What I want to talk about next is how then you actually play those interactive resources. And as I said earlier, there are 2 ways to purchase Boardmaker. There's standard, where you can put it on 2 computers, you have access to those computers, then you have access to Boardmaker. Or there's subscription, where you have unlimited installations of Boardmaker and you use your username and password to be able to use them. Now, when it comes to create and edit, both are using the Boardmaker editor. whether you put it on 2 machines or unlimited, it's going to be the same experience for creating and editing. Now, the difference is going to be when it comes to play. As a standard user, I can only play these interactive resources from within the editor. So that means that I can only play these interactive resources from those 2 computers that I have purchased the license to put them on. Or if obviously you can buy more than than 1 license and put it on multiple machines, but you pay for those installations. Where with a subscription, I can do the same. I can play from within the editor, but I also have this other element, which is called the Student Center, which again, I have unlimited installations, which means that I can then create student assignment lists and instructor lists. So this is a way that we can play the resources being away from the editor on other machines. Doesn't even need to have the editor on it. It can be on any unlimited machine to allow my students or my learners, my caseload, and myself access the things that I've created within the editor. It also allows me to track when somebody has used the resources within the Student Center, see how they're performing, what they need more of, what they've mastered, and we can move on from. So this Student Center, it's a separate app from the editor that I just showed you, it has unlimited installations. You can put it on iPads, Windows, Mac, Chromebook, Android, and it comes pre-installed on Tobii Dynavox dedicated devices. You can put it on as many computers as you like. And part of your Boardmaker 7 subscription is making student accounts. So you make these student accounts and then you assign the work that you've created and they can access them using eye gaze, switch, mouse, or touch. And I can then track how they're doing and how they're performing with it. So what I'd like to do is go back and show you how exactly that works. And if there are any questions, please do feel free to ask them right now in the chat. So I'm just going to, again, sorry, save my, change my share. There we go. I'm going to share that. So now let me just make sure. Yep. Okay. I'm sharing. I'm back at the editor. This is where I created things. And this is where both standard and subscribers can go in, and my most recent activities, I can see them here. And in front of my class, maybe this is my computer that's attached to my interactive whiteboard. I can say, all right, guys, let's work on our spelling activity. And I can press play. And then we, as a group around the interactive whiteboard, or maybe I'm doing an intervention with one specific learner, we can come in and find the first letter that
F.
goes with the word. So I can just go in and drag and drop that, and we can participate in this together. As a standard user, I can have this on 2 computers per license. As a subscriber, sky's the limit. Put it on as much as you like. You just use your username and password to gain access to it. Okay, so that is one way you can play. But what if I'm in the situation that I have created all of this on my home computer, and now I want my students to be able to play it on all of their iPads in the classroom, or I want that adult that I'm supporting in a residential facility to be able to get to that AAC assessment web that we created for them when they're out and about on their dedicated Tobii Dynavox device. How does that happen without having to give them a full installation? And that is through the Student Center. So that separate app that they can install, and I create an account for them. So I'm now going to go to the website portion of my Boardmaker 7 subscription. And here, sorry, I can see my students and my student management. So here I can see the people that I'm supporting. So I support Stuart, Rosie, and Molly. If I click into Stuart, I can see the resources that he has assigned to him, the things that I've created in my editor, and I've decided I want Stuart to have access to from his computers, from his iPad, his Windows device, regardless of whether we're in the same room or not. So what we'll also see in this website area, which Boardmaker Online users are going to be totally familiar with, we will be calling it My Boardmaker going forward. But here you can see that Boardmaker part where now I will see all the resources that have been created in the Boardmaker editor. If I just give this a little bit of a refresh, we'll see things that have been made. So it's the same things that were made most recently in my Boardmaker editor. And so we can see all these different things, the word sorting, the life cycle, and it's not showing up. It will sync in a second, I promise you. They will sync up there, and then I'll be able to get them. They haven't done it yet. Again, this is a beta version, so bear with me. Things are working a little bit slowly. They'll turn up. But that should be the experience, that what I created in the editor will be up here. And now I can assign whatever I want. So I want Stuart to be able to get to that AAC assessment from his device. So I'm going to assign it to him. I'm just going to refresh this one more time to see if those will show up. I don't know why they're showing up. Not showing up. They should. So I apologize for that. I'll come back and see if they do it later. Again, it's all beta version, so some things are working a little bit funny. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Student Center. I'm going to go back. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize. Another thing that I can do here is, as a teacher, or if I support a caseload of people, I can also add things to my playlist. So maybe I'm supporting an AAC group of learners who are using AAC devices, and we have an AAC chat group. We meet once a week, and I want to do some activities with them as a group. And I don't want to assign it to each of these. I'm going to do it on an interactive whiteboard or a central resource that we all have access to. So what I'm going to do is take this web, because we want to work on talking about how we can use core words in lots of different places. And rather than assign it to specific students, like you just saw me do for Stuart, I am going to add it to my playlist. This is me as the teacher, as the instructor. It's my playlist. So now I'm going to go to the Student Center. There we go. And the first thing I'm going to see is my playlist. I'm just going to toggle to my students for a second and then go back to my playlist, because I know you can see there it's whirring around, and there's that web that I created that I want to use with all of my participants in the AAC group. So then as a group, we can come up and we can talk about, yeah, you can use the word go when you're talking about outside and going to the park, or we can use the word go when we're telling somebody go
away,
away, and we can have a whole conversation, practice using go and matching it with other words. So I can then really quickly, without having to go through everything in front of my students, just have this short little playlist that we can access together in a really quick manner, rather than me having to troll through all the different resources that I've made in my editor. It's a really quick and easy way for me to access my resources, so that in the group together we can just go
D
in and work on our spelling,
O
work on our
J.
use of words, whatever my intention is. Is this making sense? I feel like I've totally botched this up here. Yeah, I see a few nodding heads. Thank you. Okay, good. I'll check my
You
words. There
built
you
the
go.
word
This is a great
dog.
activity as well, CVC spelling, which there's a template for. So now what I can also do is click on my students. So these are those 3 students that I'm supporting, the 3 learners I'm supporting, and maybe I now want to do some one-on-one, and I've got my iPad I'm using, and they're coming to me. So now what I can do is click on Molly, and I can say, okay, Molly, let's work on this matching, because that's the objective that we're doing together. So she is a direct access user. She can just drag things herself, so she does that. Now I'm going to stop the activity because I'm done with Molly. And now I'm going to go back to my classroom. And now it's Rosie's turn. So Rosie's going to come up to the computer. Now Rosie is actually an eye gaze user. So this wouldn't be with an iPad, maybe our Windows device. So now you can see that she can use and gaze at things and use her eye gaze to interact with that resource. And it
Swimming,
remembers everything that I assigned to Rosie. This was the same one that we were using with touch on my playlist.
bus,
Rosie's now using with dwell, using with eye gaze or mouse dwell or a head.
home,
So really, really cool stuff. I can then stop this activity and move on to the next student. But also what we can do is just have, sorry, I've got a cup of tea coming, the joys of working from home. Thank you very much. So now the other way we can set up the student center is, rather than having this classroom view with my playlist and all the different people on my caseload that I support, maybe I want to install this just for Stuart. I want it to open up and all Stuart sees is Stuart's resources. So I'm going to go into menu and I'm going to go to account and I'm going to log out. So just going to jive with the website for a second. And now I'm going to go back and you can see my classroom view has disappeared. I'm going to go to menu and now I'm going to log in, and this time I'm going to log in as a student versus an instructor. And I'm going to just do a manual. And so I know that's Stuart's username. I need this institutional ID, which you can find within your account. We're making it really easy with Boardmaker Online as well, Boardmaker 7, for you to be able to use QR codes, but I don't have that ability with my desktop. And now I'm going to put in Stuart's password. Okay, so we need this, so I did something wrong. 5E3GMQ6 and Stuart. Hopefully this will work this time. No, I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Ay. I'll just try this one more time. And if it doesn't work, 5E9, 3. Let's try. Nope. For some reason, it just doesn't want to work for me. It should work that it would be just Stuart's work. So let me make sure I've got my password. Oh, there you go. Never work with technology. There it goes. Went in. Great. So now we can see the work that is just specific for Stuart. Now, once I have signed him in, we don't have to sign him in again. Every time Stuart opens up this app on his iPad, on his Indie, on his iSeries, whatever it may be, once we've downloaded these activities, he can also go off the internet as well. So he can go into that AAC assessment. He doesn't need to have constant Wi-Fi connection, and he can go in and work through this web, and it will give him support to independently go through his assessment and talk about what he wants to talk about.
I gaze board.
Does that make sense? Yeah? All right. So going to go back to if you have any questions, please chat them in. I see that there's a few things that have come up. Okay. Don't worry, Kenna. Good to see you. Hannah, I'll talk about subscription in a little bit. Hannah's asking about subscription cost. So do I want to exit? Yes. I'm going to go into and show a different wrap up with my PowerPoint. There we go. So share that one. I don't know why that keeps popping up. Okay, so we showed you the Student Center. Just to go over it again, the editors, that installed app where you create and you edit using templates, your interactive resources. Everyone gets that. It's the same experience. Now, for our subscribers, we also give you some ready-made resources like activities to go. That's paper-based, and we have a whole nother training about that. We'll send you links in the follow-up. My Boardmaker is that website that I went to that stored all of the resources that I made. And it also allows me to go to a community where I can find lots of resources that Boardmaker users around the world have decided to share. I don't have time to show you that, but we do in subsequent webinars. You saw how I could see and manage my student accounts. You could see how I had those 3 different students and the work that was assigned to them. I'm also able to collect data as to when they interact with the resources I assign. Don't have time for that in this session, but we can do that in future. Now, the Student Center is that installed app that we can put on lots of different types of devices, and our learners can play what we have created. Okay, that is something that subscribers get as part of their subscription, and we also are able to have that instructor playlist for quick access to the things we want to work with students on or learners on. Now, I don't have time to go through everything. My time is up. It's 4:15, which is when I'm promised to finish. We have lots more trainings coming up, so please join us in future webinars. I will record this one. or had been recording this one. I might change it when I do it again. This is the first time I did it, so wasn't at my best. But it's all on a YouTube playlist, which I will send you a link to, so you can view this recording as well as other recordings there. But please come to live webinars as well, because it gives you a great opportunity to ask questions and see the question, hear the questions that others are asking as well. We cover lots of different topics. So today was all about interactive resources. We do have some introductory webinars that talk more about Boardmaker 7 as a whole, what the whole system is about, and we unpick a little bit more about the standard versus subscription options. For any of you who are currently using Boardmaker Online, the session called Transitioning from Boardmaker Online to Boardmaker 7 really talks about what's going to happen. And if you are a current Boardmaker Online user and you can stick around for a few more minutes, I'm going to talk about what is going to happen with your Boardmaker Online subscription. If you do have to go, there is a video in the playlist where you're going to find this recording called 3 Things Every Boardmaker Online User Needs to Know. And that's going to talk about what I'll do after I end the recording, and if you can stick around. Supporting AAC is a lot of fun. It's a great session where we talk a lot about the low-tech resources that we have within Boardmaker 7 to support somebody who's using AAC. Keep an eye on our website, the Tobii Dynavox website. There is a button on the landing page that tells you, that links you to lots of information about Boardmaker 7. It's also where you can sign up for our webinars. And of course, we have our local account managers that are there to support you. If you want to know things about things in a finer detail, you want to set up some training for you and your colleagues, you want to try some of the software on a trial, or maybe even try it on some of our dedicated AAC devices, you can get in touch with them. We're going to give you all of their contact information in a follow-up email. So I'm very sorry, I'm 3 minutes over. I apologize for that. So for those of you who need to get away, please do. Any of you who want to stick around, I will go over what's going to happen with your Boardmaker Online to Boardmaker 7 subscription. But I'm going to end the recording now. Thank you so much for your time. And anyone who wants to stick around, please do. And I will talk about, Boardmaker Online. Technology is not my friends today. What's going on here? There we go. Stop the recording.